Hey everybody, it's the top of the hour, but this is a comedy show, so we're not starting. What is it? Even in the apocalypse, the comedy show doesn't start on time, you silly goose. Grab yourselves a snack, get a drink, maybe hit the potty first, and share out the link to all your folks that aren't already in the stream. Body Posi Comedy will begin in about 2.5 minutes. Welcome to the virtual Stab Comedy Theater. It's time for Body Posi Comedy. Please welcome to your screen your host, Dan Smith.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Body Posi Show. We're here to celebrate everybody and everybody. We've got a great show for you tonight. I'm your host. I'm Dan, the can't stand up comedian. I've been in a wheelchair my whole life. I have a birth defect called spina bifida. There's 3 different types of spina bifida. There's spina bifida occulta, meningocele, and myelomeningocele. I have myelomeningocele, the most severe type, because if you're going to commit to something, really fucking commit. But I actually like telling people I have myelomeningocele because it doesn't sound like I have a disability. It sounds like I have a ninja seal. My ninja seal's name is Milo. So I was born in a wheelchair. Okay, I wasn't actually born in a wheelchair. That would have sucked for my mom. Leaving a little tiny tire tracks on her badge on the way out. Ew. I hope everybody is doing well and staying safe and healthy in the time of the Rona. I tell you, my biggest fear during the whole pandemic is this going to turn into a zombie apocalypse? Which, that may sound far-fetched, but, hear me out. You guys have been the Walking Dead for years. Walking Dead for me. Telling you, I'm feeling a little bit off today. And a bad morning. I had runny eggs this morning, and I tell you, I really hate runny eggs because Yeah, I don't appreciate it when my breakfast makes it acts like it's better than me. One of my biggest dreams growing up was to compete in the Paralympics someday. I never got there as an athlete, but I did go as a spectator one time. And I was going to tell you guys about my favorite sports that I saw while I was there, but I figured instead of telling you, I'm going to show you. So I need some audience participation with this one. I'm going to act out 3 sports, and you're going to guess what I'm doing, what sport I'm doing, okay? So here's the first one. Did you see that?
Basketball.
Basketball. Good. All right. Here's the second one.
Swimming.
Swimming. I heard swimming. Swimming is an excellent guess, but the answer we were looking for is drowning. You can't swim in a wheelchair.
Oh.
All right. Third and final one. Ready? Here we go.
Uh-oh.
Anybody? No? No, that was wheelchair hurdles. Yeah. I have a friend that I met just after he had been in an accident that left him paralyzed. I met him while he was recovering. And we bonded, and it really meant a lot to me to show him that, there's still a lot you can do in a wheelchair. That life is not over yet. Unfortunately, he died last week, which I thought was a pretty fucked up way of showing me just how long that life is going to last. People with disabilities, we get made fun of sometimes. I think one of the names that really offends me the most, it's a word that starts with an R. It's a word that's used to talk about a certain type of disability. You guys probably already know what word it is, so let's just get it out there. Say it with me, okay? On the count of 3, you've got my permission from a person with a disability, so you're absolved of your guilt. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Republican.
3. All right, fine. You're gonna make me say it. Whatever.
Nope.
What we're looking for is Republican.
Whoa.
See, you made me say it by myself. Jeez. Yeah. Being in a chair is not so bad most of the time, but the biggest fuck you in all of society to people in wheelchairs, specifically, it's that little sign outside of every damn elevator. In case of fire, use stairs. Yeah, right below that, there's another little sign with a picture of me on fire. It says, management not responsible for barbecued cripples. Don't worry, I can say the C word. You can't, but I can. Yeah, that's our N word. That's my time. Before I bring up our first comedian, I just want to welcome you again to the show and thank you for joining us. If you're on Twitch, thank you for being here. If you're in Zoom, if you're in the Zoom room, hey, go ahead and turn on your camera for a moment. And in your mic. Let's see you. Let's say hi. Hey, everybody. All right. Thank you for being here. Great to see you. Okay. Now turn your video off because you're not on the show. But keep your mic on because we want to hear that laughter, okay? So keep your mic on. So now I'm going to introduce our first comedian. I met this person just when I was getting started in comedy. It turned out she also works at my doctor's office. So, not only was I making a friend, I was making somebody to give me, friendly reminders of all my appointments. So I appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Nicole Eichenberg.
So actually, I did meet Dan at work, and it's actually kind of funny because I posted on Facebook that I had cookies at work, and so the girl shows up at my job and asks for cookies in a pink wheelchair and a pink Golden Girl sweatshirt. So that's how I met Dan. So I'm trying really hard to love my body right now, but I just had like an hour-long episode of like really extremely violent vomiting and diarrhea. That was fun. So speaking of which, I'm really gonna gross you guys out for a few minutes. I got really sick back in February. It's an allergic reaction to Tamiflu, but I'm not sure. If you've ever had vomiting and diarrhea at the same time, first of all, it's really gross. Like, which end do I point where? And I learned during this projectile diarrhea is also a thing. Did you know that? That was really fun.
Oh.
There was a week where I pooped my pants an absolutely embarrassing number of times. Actually, just once is embarrassing, but more than once is extremely, extremely humiliating. But no, most of the time, I'm pretty cool with myself. I'm really short, which is kind of funny. My dad is 6 feet tall, my mother is 5 feet tall, and somehow I'm 4'10". And I managed to get all of their health issues too. Like, I have bad vision. Apparently, my GI system hates me. I have asthma, so I can't breathe. Everything is trying to kill me, so that's cool. I go straight up and down, so I have a body like a Minecraft figure. But speaking of stool stuff, yeah, the diarrhea. I've never actually prayed for death in my life except for then. Yeah, anyway, I should probably move on from that because I'm really gonna gross you guys out. But I've been engaged 3 times. I've never gotten married. I guess 3 times wasn't a charm. I tried speed dating. I tried that 5 times. I guess you could say that doesn't work. But my first time speed dating, I'm sitting across from this guy, and he's really not my physical type, but he's actually listening to me, and he's being nice, and I'm like, wow, Nicole. Yeah, I hear there's a kid, so I'm going to edit my set a little bit right now. But yeah, I was like, wow, Nicole, you are so shallow, and this is why you're going to die alone. And then I thought, what if this guy doesn't get anyone to pick him? Like, that might just totally kill his self-esteem. So I circled yes next to his name and turned in my match sheet, and I guess who got no matches a couple days later? Me. Not even the guy I picked out of pity, so that was fun. I did meet my best friend at speed dating, so I met somebody I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. But, so Dan had a request that I talk about some of my work jokes, so I'm going to do that. So I'm a medical assistant. It's super fun. I started out working with kids, but now I work with adults. You think it's different, but it's actually kind of the same. With kids, you say don't stick that in your mouth. With adults, you say don't stick that up your butt. Sadly. But it does lead to my favorite game where you try to guess what the foreign body is on the x-ray. Like, oh, that one's a banana. I think that one's a cell phone. Probably a vibrate. But you do get to learn about all these things you never knew existed, like myelomeningocele, or who knows what a vaginal prolapse is.
Ooh.
You're about to learn some interesting things. So your pelvic wall muscles can get weak and your insides can fall out your outside. Like, this is a legit thing to be afraid of. Like, and no one ever warned me about this, and now I'm terrified. Like, what if I sneeze and it's like, oh, achoo, and it falls out?
Oh, God.
My friend's gonna be hanging out there like wacka 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 wacka. My vagina doesn't make that noise. The others do, I don't know. Alright, I'm starting to feel the nausea come back, so I'm going to leave you with one other story from my work. So I'm at work one day and this new patient comes in and he was acting really squirrely and nervous. And I asked him why he was there and he says, oh, there's a rash on his genitals. I guess he didn't want to talk about it. Most guys just like to send pictures of theirs. But he drops his pants and all of a sudden I realize I've met this guy before and it's the dude that didn't pick me at speed dating.
Oh.
Touch his junk, so I guess the end result was the same. Alright, I think I have to keep this. I'm gonna call Dan back up. Thank you guys for laughing. You have been wonderful.
Yay. Woo! Woo!
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring up your next comedian. I'm going to tell you first that I've met a lot of great comedians, and I've made a lot of good friends since I started comedy. And your next comedian tonight is definitely not one of them. That's because I've known this next comedian for, I think, about a decade before we both started comedy. And seeing him start up comedy, it's what got me into it. So we were actually brothers for a while. I'm fucked up. Okay, you know what? I'm going to take it from the top on this intro. You know, I want to get this right because I'm fucking it up now. Okay, here we go. All right, take two. You heard the joke about him not being my friend. Okay. This is just a train wreck. We were actually brothers for a while, brothers through marriage. Well, you know, there's certain things that we all can't do. You know, I can't reach the top shelf. He can't keep a woman happy. You know, so we all have things we're good at. You know, but in all seriousness, no. So, you know, this next comedian is one of my dear friends. I really wish I hadn't fucked up his intro so much. Because he's like a brother to me. Ladies and gentlemen, Damien Harmony. Wow.
Thank you for that. Well, now we know where rock bottom is, Dan. Thank you. So give it up for my brother Outlaw, everybody. This is Dan Smith. He's the one that stayed in the family. I got away. So my name's Damien Harmony. My thumbs are agreeable. I remember back in the days of pre-COVID, where which pre-COVID kind of sounds like pre-cum when you think about it. Like you still have that general, you know, shiny sheen all over everything, but you don't quite know what it's going to get you. Yeah. But I remember I'm a teacher. I'm actually a high school teacher. And pre-COVID, I was leaving the school one day. And I remember very clearly the administrative assistant said, "Hey, are you going to stick around for the volleyball game?" And I was like, no, I need to go home and be with my kids. And she's like, "Oh, what a good papa." And I was like, "Yeah." And I walked out and I got about 3 feet out the door and I realized, well, how low is her bar? Because and then I realized, oh yeah, I work at a public school. So her bar is pretty low. I mean, all guys have to do is show up and everybody's like, "Oh, he's father of the year. That's fantastic. He signed his name." But then I thought about it. I was like, wait a minute. I just said I had to go home and be with my kids. Like that could just be court ordered. Like it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm taking care of them. Like I'm not really a good father. And she just thinks that being with them is enough. And like, she doesn't know that I taught them that Mana Mana by the Muppets is the national anthem. Or that, you know, Stephen Hawking is a vegetable. Like I taught them that, you know, or that like when I was barbecuing, I needed to test the grill. So I used my daughter's cute little cheeks because redheads don't feel pain as much. So, you know, she didn't know how bad a father I was. She just assumed that I was a good papa because I was going to be with my kids. And I was like, no, I didn't say I was taking care of them. But it really bothered me because as Dan told you, I am now divorced and have been for a while. Their mom is a nurse and, you know, she takes care of the kids half the time as well. And I remember thinking like, if she was to leave work and people said, "Oh, you're going to stick around?" She said, "No, I got to be with my kids." Nobody would have thought she's a good mama just for doing that, right? Because there's like this weird double standard because women can't use barbecue grills. Oh. So now that I'm in my 40s, I am dating again, which is really, really weird. If you've ever read the story of Rip Van Winkle, you get a feeling for how strange it is for me. I met my ex-wife when I was in my early 20s. And a thing happens when you get married. You are frozen at whatever level of technology that you started at. So I never really learned to like text flirt or sext at all. So when I got married, there were no smartphones. And now all dating is done over the apps and stuff like that. And so I have to build an entire profile of myself. It's very, very strange. And then I found out that people text all the time. And then I found this thing called emojis. And I was like, great, that's saved me time. And so I was dating this one gal, and I said, hey, I'd like you to come over for dinner tonight. And she says, great. I said, I'm at the store. How about tonight I make you eggplant parmesan and we have a peach pie for dinner? But I found that there was an eggplant and a peach emoji right there. And I said, so how about tonight for dinner? And I put the eggplant, and then for dessert, the peach. Now those mean different things. And if you didn't know that, congratulations, you now have 2 new safe words. So another thing that's different in your 40s as compared to, dating now as opposed to pre-marriage, is that grooming habits have changed in the last 20 years. See, when I started dating, like, it was not expected that everything be completely shorn like a dolphin. Now that seems to be the order of the day, which I'm happy to adapt, but I'm also a lot fatter than I was. And I mean, I love my body, but it gets in the way when I'm trying to figure out how to groom places that I haven't seen in years. Like, that was the nice thing about being married, is I could get another opinion as to how things look down there. So I realized after a couple dates that somebody would want to see me naked. And I was like, hey, good for them for being so brave. But then I realized I'd have to groom everything. And I didn't have the necessary tools to groom my necessary tools. So I realized I do have a beard trimmer. And so I went downstairs with the beard trimmer, and I had to get a leg up to kind of position things around. And as I was doing, my son walked in and used that beard trimmer to shave his head too. And so he looked at me, he's like, why are I, and have vocabulary for what I was doing, and frankly needed to die. So I told him, there was a skin tag that I was trying to shave off. So, cause he's clipped them off on my neck for me, cause that's not gross. But so then I realized I need to get some sort of depilation. There's no way that I'm going to stay that flexible for that long. So I found that you can order this stuff online called Veet. And women, you probably know what I'm talking about, having lived in this millennium. But Veet is this depilation cream that it sizzles away the hair after 10 minutes. And you can just take a rubber brush and get it all off of you. The problem is, being a redhead, is that my skin is especially sensitive. So you got to hit the timer for 10 minutes even, because any more than that, you end up chemical burning yourself. And then your kids walk around going, what's that smell, all day long? So it's weird. I mean, it's worth doing, but it does look like, because I didn't finish the job because everything was burning. So it did look kind of like a negative photo of Elvis in his later years down there. Oh. I had sideburns that were really burns. I realized also that in dating, I'm starting to categorize dates into one of 2 things. Is this something that we can build off of and build towards something neat? Or is this something I need to set a countdown for? So I also found that a friend of mine told me that my app was all wrong, and it didn't make any sense, or like my profile on my app was all wrong, because I had put down that I was built like a whale. And I thought built like a whale is a good thing. I mean, they're really, really strong. They've got incredible cardio. All of these things are true about me. And they keep you warm because they're surrounded by a thick layer of blubber. But as it turns out, that's not what women are looking for. And so I had to say, kind of work it back down to built like a dolphin. And then I was just kind of floundering around. I know. And now that I'm dating, I found that other people are just as weird as I am, which I was protected from before. So it's almost release an animal back out into the wild after it's been in captivity for so long that it doesn't know how to hunt on its own. I had one person who broke up with me, but she didn't leave all the way. And that's the last time I dated Zeno's granddaughter. Some mathematicians in there. So now I've gotten bigger, and I realize that that's actually a good thing. Somebody once recently told me that, I'm looking for somebody who's sturdy. And I was like, oh, great. Because it used to be that people were like looking for somebody who was bigger, who was going to lose weight. Like it was a bear market, but now they're feeling bullish. So that's kind of nice. I mentioned teaching before. I do teach. I'll be doing distance learning, which is kind of sad because down the street from where I taught, or where I do teach, eventually when the plagues leave our lands, there's an elder care facility called Eschaton. And I teach Latin, which means I know a smattering of ancient Greek. And to me, Eschaton is the best name for an elder care facility. Does anybody know their ancient Greek on here? Is that? No? Okay, so Eschaton actually means the end. Ancient Greek for the end. And it's true. You can look it up. Eschatology is a study of end times. So Eschaton means the end. And a lot of people think that that's awful. And I think it's wonderful because there's so many elder care facilities that actually like try to euphemize what they're doing to, with their patients there. And I think that's silly. I think everybody knows that death is coming. And when you advertise it right there in the name, it makes more sense to me. I don't like Sunset Village because that sounds just a little too nicey-nicey. I think that Pleasant Meadow is a wonderful name for a graveyard. I don't think you should call an old folks home Pleasant Meadow. I think Eschaton is perfect. And I think they know it too because they advertise up the hill in El Dorado Hills where people actually have money still. And there was this picture of a woman, older woman with a beautiful smile on her face, the kind of woman that you know smells like butterscotch and probably makes cookies every time you come over. And it says, "I'm Lucy." And I love that because she's really old. And I was like, oh, Australopithecus. Okay, cool. But and I chose Eschaton, which I had to pull over laughing because it's, I'm Lucy and I choose the end. And then I thought, like, wow, how awesome is her religion? Or how awful is her family? That's a better option. So I had 9 grandparents when I came into this world. I had 5 parents. It took a village to raise this idiot. And, I had a son who didn't make it, but all of my parents did. And all of my grandparents are now dead. So I guess that kind of thing skips a generation. But I got an old dog. He's 13 years old now. He's deaf. He's a pug. And so he's on his way out. And I went to the pet food store the other day to buy pet food for him. And they said, oh, can we get your name? I was like, yeah, last name Harmony. And they typed it into the computer and they're like, you're not in our system. And I was like, well, why would I be? I'm just here for dog food. And they said, if you buy 12, you get the 13th free. And I looked at her. I was like, oh, lady, this 50-pound bag is a lottery bag as it is. Like, the first 20 pounds are food. The last 30 pounds are just hope, you know? And I think that's good, actually, that my dog is going to die while my other 2 children are alive, because they're going to learn about death that way. I think that's ultimately a dog's job, is to die so that children learn that people die. Because then after the dog dies, then the grandparents die. And the grandparents dying teaches the children that their parents will die. And then they'll be ready for when I die. And then when I die, that'll teach them that they're going to die. And then someday they'll recognize that they're dead. So that'll be good. Now, I am a hopeful individual. I got my pug vaccinated just last year. And he's a pug, so I can't tell if the vaccine worked or not, because you can't tell if a pug has autism. Yeah, I know. It's okay. I have a son who's actually on the spectrum, so I can make this joke, just like Dan can make all kinds of jokes about not walking anywhere, or not being funny. But I did get him vaccinated. I love pugs because they're like the C student of dogs. They're just dumber than a bag of hair, but they're so friendly and so nice that they're really easy to train. Like, my mom used to raise Jack Russell Terriers, and I never wanted one of those because those dogs are really fucking smart, and they will try to outsmart you instead of just do the trick. Like, I'll offer my dog lettuce, and he's like, oh, that's my favorite thing. I'll sit down for you. And then I'll offer him a carrot, and he's like, that's also my favorite thing. I'll run in a circle for you. Like, he'll do that. And if you ever get a bunch of pugs together, they'll just run around and snort together in this giant pug herd. And it's just this big exercise in communism of just like snorting and, comrade, let's go left now. And then they just go that way. Jack Russells will fight each other to the death for dominance. They're like, and they hate other terriers even. Like, they're the KKK of dogs. It's awful. So I strongly recommend pugs for you. So I got them vaccinated because I am a hopeful fellow. I'll leave you with this. I told you that my son is also on the spectrum, and he is. And for the first several years of his life, we had a behavioralist come to our house every day to work with him. He didn't learn the same way that other people learned. Like, you couldn't just do a thing in front of him and he would pick it up. And you had to break down every single thing into discrete variable steps and teach him each one of those along the way. I'll give you an example. He didn't know you're supposed to actually answer questions when you're asked a question. Now, that's astounding to me because I got suspended from class for answering questions that were rhetorical. But he didn't know you're supposed to answer a question. So for weeks and weeks and weeks, they would play with him, and then they would just ask him every 5 minutes or so, hey, what's your favorite fruit? What's your favorite fruit? What's your favorite fruit? Because he really likes fruit. And he just never answered. And then about 3 or 4 weeks into it, he finally answered. He just looked up from playing with brains, and he says, well, apples and strawberries and watermelon. And it was the most amazing thing. I was so proud of him. I jumped up, I whooped, I hollered. Everybody was really, really happy. Bye, Johnny Fletcher. Everybody was really, really happy. And we celebrated that day. We had an apple and strawberry and watermelon party, and it was amazing. I was so proud of him. And then they started asking him that same question and trying to get variables in there and stuff like that. And then one day he graduated to vegetables because they started asking him what his favorite vegetable was. And the cool thing was it only took 2 weeks for him to tell him his favorite vegetable. And he looked up and he says, carrots and salad and Stephen Hawking and cucumbers. And his behavioralist looked at me with giant saucer brown eyes, and she's a 20-year-old psychology major because that's of course what she was. And she's like, what do I write down? I'm like, you write down everything he said because that was goddamn perfect. But her boss was there that day, and he comes in and he looks at me. He's like, what have you been teaching this child? And I said, oh, you're right. I need to be the good papa. This is my moment. And so I got down on one knee and I looked him right in the eyes and said, man, I am so proud of you. You did such a wonderful job. That was terrific.
Yes.
But I asked you to name 3 vegetables and you named 4. You need to listen to directions better. That's so better in a crowd. Anyway, my name's Dan Germany. You can see me at every Tuesday night on twitch.tv/Capital Puns, Slinging Puns. It's Sacramento's #1 underground pun tournament. Feel free to drop by and give us a like, subscribe. Please give it back up for Mr. Dan Smith.
Thank you, Damien. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, are you guys ready for your headliner tonight?
Woo!
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, your headliner is one of my favorite comedians. She is a public speaker. She's an disabled rights activist, and she's the author of the book Stutterer Interrupted. There's irony for you. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for your headliner, Nina G.
Hello. Thank you so much. And yes, the book is The Stutterer Interrupted. When I came up with the name and I put it on Facebook, and a non-disabled man told me that it was too hard to say, and I was like, yeah, that is definitely going to be the fucking name of the book. So I'm so glad you had a difficult time with it. And also, Damien, thank you so much for your Stephen Hawking's jokes on the day that I invite my 2 friends who actually came to the show, Mary Lee and Jenny, who are both very strong disability advocates. So expect to be canceled soon. No, you're not. You're not. He's good. He's fine. It's a joke. But just wanted to point that out. Also, I do stutter, and you have shitty internet. So both of those things can be true. So just a heads up there. Is my screen dirty? I have been looking at that. It seems like, here, I'm going to do this mom thing real quick. I'm going to do this. I'm sorry. I've never done that. Okay, I think that's better. Yeah, no, it is. I see it on Facebook. And Jenny just gave me a ha. She just texted me. Okay, so like I said, I am a stand-up comic who stutters. I also have dyslexia, and I was recently on the ADA. It was the anniversary of the ADA, of the Americans with Disabilities Act, and I was on an international show that was online. Got to work with some really great people, but I had some people tell me that stuttering and dyslexia weren't real disabilities, and I shouldn't be on that show. And I told them, if you look at the definition of a disability according to the ADA, it's a physical or mental impairment that substantially results in having to deal with assholes. So I'm pretty sure it qualifies. Thank you. I'm seeing that I'm going a little bit like in slow motion. And is my internet okay? Act like not like a stuttering thing, like a real question.
No, we can hear you fine.
Okay, awesome, good. Okay, also, I would love for you all to check out my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is
Inspiration. Woo!
Nina G Comic. Fuck you, Jenny. Jenny just said I'm an inspiration. Fuck you. The thing is, a lot of times disabled people are called inspirations just, for like saying our names and things like that. Not the bar very, very low. Of course, I do have a joke here, which is, how many disabled people does it take to screw in a light bulb?
How many?
1 to screw it in, and 5 able-bodied people to say, you are such an inspiration. There you go. Thank you. So anyway, check out my YouTube channel. You might be inspired. Most people are inspired to write this kind of stuff on there, okay? One of the comments that I oftentimes get is, you should really try weed for that speech problem of yours. Yeah, because this would go a lot better if I were more paranoid, okay? Especially on Zoom. More paranoid and thirsty, because that seems to be the biggest effect there. A lot of the comments are, I want to see your boobs, a lot of that. A lot of misogyny, I inspire. But recently, a guy saw a video of me doing stand-up comedy, and he wrote, "This is the bravest thing I have ever seen." Yeah, that's right. The bravest thing this guy's ever seen is me doing stand-up comedy. And I just want to say, in your face, COVID health professionals, in your face. Because who's brave? Who is brave? People who put their lives on the line to save others? No. Me. It's me, stuttering dick joke teller. That's who's brave, everyone. That's who's brave. Now, and this is nice that I don't see everybody here, because every once in a while I'll do a presentation, or like it's not even comedy. Like, I will do a professional presentation, and in the audience I will see people doing this, like rolling their eyes whenever I stutter really, really hard. And I want to be like, I stutter. I'm not blind. I can fucking see you. Like why would you do that? And the thing is also, there's this thing that has been going on in comedy for a few years now, is that when I do my jokes, I won't get laughs. I will get this. And this is only from women. they will look at each other and they'll do, oh, 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 oh. Like, I enjoy sympathy just as much as you. I just don't know why it has to be in the middle of my fucking act. Why is that the time that I get it? You know, it's a pity moment. Because I don't get it in my everyday life. It's not like when I go to Starbucks and I place my order and the barista says, "Is that Nina with 5 N's?" Where's my pity moan then? Where is it? No, it's only on stage. So, you know, Zoom is a nice alternative there. I also get people thinking that I'm faking my stutter like it's for the comedic effect. And I just want to clear that up right now, is that I have a rule that I don't fake my stuttering and I don't fake my orgasms, no matter how long either one of those two things take. And they can both take hella fucking long. So there you go. And that was real. That was a real stutter. I'm proud of that. No, but they do have a lot in common, because if the other person would just shut up and stop interrupting me, I'd finish a lot faster. So there you go. Yeah, no, guys don't always understand that. There's also this thing when you have a disability, and I'm sure also when you're a parent of a kid who has autism or any other kind of disability, and that is, as soon as someone meets you, they have a PhD in the thing you have. Oh my God, all the expertise I encounter in the world. Everybody, as soon as they know that I stutter, I get advice. It's stuff like, like once I was on a radio show, a woman calls up and says, "My friend found true love. And now she doesn't stutter anymore." I mean, isn't that beautiful? Isn't that great? That's wonderful. And I forgot my punchline to that joke because I haven't told it in 4 months. So we're just going to move on to the next one. A secondary effect to dyslexia. So there you go. No, okay. Also, once after a show, man came up to me, said that I stuttered because I had the wrong kinds of orgasms.
What?
He seriously said this. And I asked him what he meant by that. And he told me, and I was like, "I don't think you stutter through that orifice." Yeah, because it was there. That's exactly what he said. Oh, Jim from Iceland, but from Canada is telling me that I'm so funny on Facebook, which is ironic because he's been trying to keep me out of his country for months now. So thank you, Jim. Thank you. Today or yesterday, America lifted the travel restriction, so now we can go anywhere we want. Meanwhile, nobody wants us. The only choice we have is Florida, and nobody go there. Beautiful place. Just wait. So let's see. I wanted to talk about some other things. I was looking at my set list, and I was like, oh, what do I have that is body positive? And, keep in mind, this is from a person who, I swear to God, I wore Spanx to a Zoom show that is a body positive show. So there you go. Anyway, I looked at my set list to see what is body positive, and I was like, oh, like everything is about some part of my body. So there we go. And of course, just stuttering is about the brain. It's not nerves. It's not that I'm not smart. None of that. It is a difference in the brain. And in fact, it's on the left side. And that is why when people who stutter use the right side, then we don't stutter as much. And that's like when we sing or when we use a voice or something like that. And once I was telling a guy that I was talking to about that, and the example that I used was Marilyn Monroe, who was an actress who stuttered, which, like, by the way, side note, if you stutter, why the fuck would you give yourself a double M name? Like that just seems like a really bad idea. She missed, she probably stuttered on C's. That's the only thing that I can think of there. But anyway, she stuttered, and that's why she talked like this. Because if you talk like this, you can talk from your right side instead of your left side, and then you're a little more fluent. Which I told that to the guy, who in response said, "That's very sexy. Maybe you should talk like that all the time." Yeah. And I was like, no, I think that I'd rather stutter. So there you go. So here's my body positive joke about stuttering. So it's my friend Jenny's on here, and Jenny and I, she is Irish American, so she and her family have had a lot of influence on me. I just want to say this joke is not about her. Okay, so I went to Ireland a few years back. Beautiful place, wonderful place, probably one of my favorite places in the world. The people are just so warm and funny and wonderful. And what really left an impression on me is that Ireland is one of the few European countries that never invaded anybody else. They were always the ones who were being occupied by the British or by the Vikings. And you talk to the Irish, they're so proud that they never oppressed anybody at their own hands. And it made me understand something, that the Irish did not get to be racist until they got to Boston. Was that crickets? As I said, that is not a reflection on Jenny's family. They're all cool. So, and as are a lot of Irish, except Americans. But again, a joke. So let's see. Oh, I am not Irish. I am Italian American. I know you can't tell because I'm educated and my skin isn't orange. That's not kinds of Italians that they put on TV. But growing up, I was very insecure about this nose. I'll give you a good shot of it. This nose right here. And I told my mom, I said, "Mom, I think I have a big nose." And she said, "You don't have a big nose. You have a small Italian nose." And I was like, "Mom, did you tell my brother he has a big dick for a girl?" Because it's about as comforting there. Also being, you know, women, we always have very inspirational things hanging up around the house, things to inspire us, things to uplift us. I have things that speak to me as an Italian American woman, which is why I have a Post-it on the dashboard of my car that reads, "Pluck your chin hair like no one's watching." So that is what inspires me. So, oh, someone gave me a heart. Thank you. That's sweet. And so also something else about me. Growing up, my grandma was addicted to prescription pills. Like, she was addicted to the opioids like Vicodin and Valium. She was addicted before anybody else. She was like, she couldn't shit before everybody else. Growing up with her, though, going to Disneyland with her was like going to Disneyland with Hunter S. Thompson. Okay, like it was like that. Oh, good. I just heard a laugh. Where I come from, I call that the Berkeley laugh, which is, "Hey, look, everyone, I'm so smart. I understood a joke," which is, I'm sure, what Damien relies on when he does his Greek jokes. Anyway, so, you know what? You talk about Stephen Hawking, you're gonna get that. Okay. Anyway, so I'm the first one in my family to ever graduate college, and I went on for my doctorate. And after I got my doctorate, I thought that my grandma, that, you know, she'd be so proud of me. Like, she knew all the struggles that I went through in school. And so I called her up. I said, Grandma, I'm a doctor. And you know what she said? The first thing, can you prescribe? That's what she asked. Can you prescribe? I was like, no, Grandma, I'm not that kind of doctor. I'm the kind of doctor who's $100,000 in debt and makes $13 an hour. Because social justice through dick jokes don't pay. And by the way, Jenny, that's completely true. She totally did that. This is my grandmother, Marie. And then she called my mom up to make sure that I was telling the truth. So a little tidbit from my past. Now, when I tell that joke in Montana, because they let me tell that joke in Montana every once in a while, or they did at least, I would have to say that I make $7 an hour instead of the 13. Yeah, because Montana's like, oh, the $13 an hour, I could buy a house with that. And I'm like, I'm clutching on to my rent control, Montana, so go screw yourself. Love Montana though, great place. Just, I can't, you know, I could afford there. I can't afford here. This everybody, this is a rent controlled apartment in Oakland. I'd say give it up for me for having a rent controlled place in Oakland. Yes. You don't know what that means. Oh, actually, if you do have rent control, then you do know what it means. And for me, what it means is that I have two people who are rooting for my death. My landlord and his wife. So they hope I die and up the rent by 1,000. So I don't know. I want to do a couple more things and then I will end it. So Jenny, I went to a gynecologist that you went to a long time ago. I don't know if you remember her, but when I went there, I got some news, and the news is that I have a long vagina. That is the news I got. And you know, that is the wonderful thing about the female body, is that I just turned 47 years old this past week. And the wonderful thing about the female body is that after so many years, I can still find things to be insecure about. Like, isn't that wonderful? Isn't it great to discover things about your body? And so I just want to be very clear, long vagina. Not a big vagina, long vagina. So this isn't like a 6-lane bus terminal vagina. It's a long tunnel that goes through a Swiss Alps single car and a European car, because they're smaller. So that goes through a Swiss Alp and then empties into an Italian village, okay? It's that kind of long. That is what it is. Now, once I got out of the doctor's office, I called my mom and I said, Mom, I got some news from the doctor. She said that I have a long the vagina. And the first thing my mom said was, and this is true, was, I wonder who you got that from.
Oh.
No, that's what she said, Jenny. No, and so apparently my mom has a very petite vagina, and also trying to blame my long vagina on my father. So there you go. So and I want to end this on one more thing. I want to go back to stuttering for a minute. I had a friend, and this was a few years back. He was about 24 at the time, and he stuttered. He was seeing a psychologist in the Bay Area, and the psychologist tells him this. Oh, and so my friend, virgin, okay, make sure that that's clear. The psychologist tells him that once he starts having sex, that he's going to stop stuttering. Okay, so because apparently pussy cures stuttering. And so it's like, that's not true, right? And he's like, I'll see, I'll experience. It knows. So like, okay. So then he started to date a woman, and I could tell that it was going to go somewhere. And then one Sunday morning, I got a text, and the text read, "I still stutter." Because he got some, yeah. So I texted back, "Keep trying." And that to me is a lesson of how disability and body positivity is. You all need to keep trying, and we just need to be who we are. So thank you for having me, and I appreciate everyone for being here.
Yay!
Thank you, Nina. Everybody give it up for Nina G one more time.
Woohoo! Nina G!
Woo!
Inspiration!
Better interrupted. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be our show for tonight. Thank you to all the comedians. Thank you to you for being here. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back later this month with another show. So hopefully you'll join us then. Have a good night. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for joining us for Body Posi Comedy. One more time for everybody. Clapping at home. That's a thing. Thank you so much. Thanks for checking out Stab tonight. I'm going to send you all over real quick to check out some more of Dad's Garage in Atlanta. Come check us out tomorrow. We got a full schedule of stuff. 1 o'clock, spec script. 6 o'clock, new comedy, new Ha Rising's Island Comedy Tour. And at 8, it's Rankinator. Oh, I got it all, guys. I remembered them all. Go enjoy the show over at Dad's Garage. They're celebrating their 25th anniversary. Check them out, and I will see you tomorrow.
You think that we connect, that the chemistry's correct. Your words walk right through my ears, presuming I like what I hear. And now I'm stuck in the web you're spinning. You've got me for your prey. Sorry, I'm not home right now. I'm walking in the spider web, so leave a message and I'll call you back. A likely story, but leave a message and I'll call you back. Intruding on what's mine.